So, next, because it is Ohigan, we have a guest speaker or a wonderful speaker. But before we do that, we want the Rinban to introduce the Dharma speaker today. So, Rinban will introduce him.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this year's Ohigan service, the Spring Ohigan Service. As you know, the Ohigan is always held at the time of the equinox, both in spring and in fall. And it's the time of the year when the length of the day and the length of the night are exactly the same. It's like 12 hours each. And it has a lot of significance in the Buddhist tradition, but I won't get into all of the details. But today we're really happy to have our Minister, Reverend Masashii Fujii, to deliver the Dharma talk for today's Ohigan service. And as you may know, Reverend Fujii is basically working at our North America District Office, and generally speaking, the person who's in that office comes to the United States from Japan and serves basically for 5 years. And so quickly that 5 years is almost up for Reverend Fujii and his wife and his son. And sometime in May, it looks like he and his family will be going back to Japan. And since the next major service would be our Tanjo, the celebration of Shinran Shonin's birthday, but we weren't sure whether he would be here for that service, and so I decided to ask him to be our speaker for the Ohigan service. And so today he will be speaking in both English and Japanese. Normally he speaks in Japanese at our Shotsuki services that we have every month. And we're really grateful that he's been supporting us here at the Betsuin over this entire year of the pandemic, and joining me for the services that we do stream here from the Betsuin. But his English is really actually very good, and I wanted to ask him to speak more in English, but at least today we'll be able to listen to his Dharma talk in English and Japanese. I really feel bad because this past year was the pandemic year, and basically we were closed down for the entire year. And as a result, the last year that the Fujii family spent in the United States, or is spending in the United States, is a year when you really weren't able to travel much and things like that. And so I think that it was a very unique experience of living through the pandemic, and then having to go back to Japan without maybe having been able to travel here and there with his family. But but on the other hand, it gives him the opportunity to come back sometime, to bring back Renchan and his wife, and to really enjoy maybe some of the things about the United States that they weren't able to enjoy during this past year. Even being able to go to Disneyland, and hopefully apparently it's opening up, and so maybe they'll be able to go to Disneyland before they go back to Japan. At any rate, we're really happy that Reverend Fujii has been with us for almost 5 years now. We're really sorry to see him and his family go back to Japan, but that's basically the conditions upon which he came in the first place. And we've enjoyed his support over these 5 years. And there's a couple of things that made him the hero of Higashi Honganji. And one was when was that? A couple of years ago at Obon time. 2 years ago at Obon time, right after the second day of Obon, on Monday, I guess it was, he happened to be here late as usual, and then discovered that there was water just leaking all over the, well, basically into the social hall. And so he was able to call us, and to let us know what's happening, and then opened all the doors and things like that. And so we were really indebted to him for finding that that problem that was happening and then letting us know. And then just recently, as you know, we had the vandalism incident, and he was the one that was here again. And we were always telling him, that he shouldn't stay too late at night. But he's so diligent in his work that he often stayed very late. And so he was here that night on February the 25th. And then when he heard the glass shattered, he ran out and put out the fires with a fire extinguisher on the chojin stands that were burning, and then let us know right away. And so we were able, well, some of our members were able to come to assess the situation and to start the process of repair and so forth. And so we're really indebted to him, not only for his support during the year, but especially on those two occasions. So at any rate, and then hopefully maybe we'll be able to, some of us might be able to gather sometime in May to be able to give the Fujiis a very, what do you call it, a good farewell, so a gathering. So we look forward to that too. Okay, sorry I talked too long, but now we'll have Reverend Fujii give us our Dharma talk.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's Spring Ohigan Service. My name is Masashii Fujii, and I'd like to say thank you to Rinban for allowing me to speak here and introducing me as a hero. But maybe some people might think I'm a disaster magnet because for some reason when I was in the temple, the massive flooding and fire disaster happened. So, but don't worry, I'll be back in Japan soon. And today is our Spring Ohigan Service. So I'd like to listen to Buddha's teaching together with all of you. And this is most likely my last English Dhamma talk, so that I will share with you, with all of you, and before I return to Japan. And these are the Dharma words I would like to share with you today. So, the words of Reverend Toshimaro Fujishiro. This day, the opportunity which is so difficult to receive is here today. I will repeat it. This day, the opportunity which is so difficult to receive is here today. So even if I usually hear such teaching, I tend to take it for granted that today will come. However, I feel that I can understand the meaning of these words a little bit because of our COVID-19 situation. And I think Dharma words resonate with me when I'm ready to hear the teachings. And when we hear the teachings of Buddhism and can receive the lesson from the bottom of our hearts, I think we will be able to take a step forward in our lives as Buddhists. And please allow me to share a little bit about myself. Maybe some of you know, but I was born into a temple family, and probably 90% of Japanese Buddhist ministers were born into temple family. And about 70 families belong to my temple, our temple. And it is said that a temple cannot be maintained without at least 200 to 300 families in Japan. And therefore, in small temples, ministers often have to work as a school teachers as a kind of side business. And my temple has only 70 families. So my grandfather built a kindergarten in 1955 in order to maintain the temple. And I hadn't talked to my grandfather very much, but my father said he was a very strict and stingy person. And I don't know if that's true, but I remember hearing this story from my father. And one day, my grandfather told my father to go and borrow a hammer from a neighbor. And when my father tried to borrow a hammer, he was told by a neighbor that he wouldn't lend it to us because he didn't want it to hit nails which would wear out the hammer. So when my father told my grandfather what the neighbor said, and he said, "What a stingy person. I can't do anything about that. So bring my hammer from the garage." And so it was grandfather and not the neighbor who was really stingy. And I heard another episode of my grandfather, which went like this. When a famous doctor in the local area was taking a walk, and the doctor thought there was a wallet and seemed to contain a lot of money. But doctor thinks many people were watching him, so he wanted to pick it up, but he gave up. So, and my grandfather apparently was walking behind the doctor, and so he picked up. My grandfather picked up the wallet and put it in his pocket. And the famous doctor was angry and said to my grandfather, I gave up that wallet, but why did you pick it up?" And he said, what doctor gave up is what doctor gave up belongs to minister. And I don't know if this is also a true story, but he seems to have very strange person. And that's who my grandfather was. But he preserved and opened a second kindergarten in 1977. And so he probably did save a lot of money and worked hard to maintain the temple. And another story I remember about my grandfather was that he went to war as a soldier. And I don't remember when this happened, nor what war he fought in, but there is a samurai sword in the temple. And what I remember about my grandfather was that his room was sparsely decorated with the minimum necessary items and was always clean and tidy. So when I think about it now, I think that it was because he experienced war as a soldier, and that experience of knowing that death can come at any time may have been why he kept the room clean so that there would be no problem even if he died suddenly. At the beginning, I introduced the Dharma words. This day, the opportunity of which is so difficult to receive is here today. This moment will never be repeated, and I certainly don't know when this life will end. I think Buddhist way of life is to spend every moment as important. And if tomorrow is the last day, one will be able to live without regrets. However, it is difficult to live like this, even if we listen to the Buddha's teaching. The proof is that my desk is always messy. And although he was a stingy grandfather, he ran a kindergarten and allowed us to maintain the temple. And I think that the way he lived with all his might so that there would be no problems, regardless of when he died, was exactly the way of life in which we live according to the teaching of Buddhism. I think one of the Buddha's teaching is that anything that has a beginning always has an end. And it's hard to admit, but human beings are destined to die when they were born. And that is why life is precious. And the fun times we enjoy also has an end. 5 years in Los Angeles feels very short, but I can say I really enjoyed it. And surrounded by many kind and nice people. And so I, Mimu, and Ren are really grateful to everyone. I am inexperienced, and especially as a human and a minister, but I think that everyone really helped me to grow up. And here I am called sensei, even though I'm less than half the age of most everyone. And I was never called sensei in Japan, and I had never given a Dharma talk before I came here. Maybe you just call me sensei because you didn't remember my name. However, for whatever reason, I think being called sensei has helped me to grow up. So since I was often called sensei, and I felt that I had to become a sensei for everyone, and I was able to study Buddhism so that I could properly convey the teachings to everyone. It was really nice to be able to listen to the Buddhist teaching with you. And I think this experience will be helpful when I return to Japan and take over my temple someday. And for the time being, I plan to work somewhere in Kyoto or elsewhere in Japan, and then eventually return to my home temple. Also, when Ren grows up, I would like to come to Los Angeles to visit this temple again. And until then, please stay healthy. I have a lot of wonderful memories with everyone, and I cannot thank you enough for all you have done for us. And I think the members of the Los Angeles Betzing form a really powerful and energetic Sangha. The temple situation is difficult to COVID-19 and the recent vandalism, but I believe that you will continue to protect this Los Angeles Betzing, the place where we continue to listen to the teaching of Buddhism. And let's all listen to the teachings together again. Thank you. 本日は、お彼岸ということで、仏教のお話を、皆さんと、聞きたいと思います。 今日紹介したい、法語なんですけども、それは藤代利麿先生という先生の、お言葉です。それは今日であること、敵今日である。今日であること、敵今日である。っていう言葉です。藤代先生というのは、皆さんご存知の通り会議室に、曽我先生の仏様とはという言葉が書かれてますけど、曽我先生に非常に支持された先生という方です。で、今日が来るっていうことっていうのは私たち非常に当たり前のこととしてどうしても過ごしてしまいがちだと思います。でこういったコロナの状況で普段通りに生活できないっていうこと、そういういつ危険があるかわからないっていう状況に身を置くことで、今日という日っていうのが非常にありがたい、なかなか難しい困難を乗り越えて実は今日という日に私たちは生きてるんだということを感じることができると思います。仏教の教えというのは普段から同じような話をいつも聞いてるわけですね。ただまた同じ話かとか、言ってることは分かるけどっていう風な感じでなかなか受け入れるっていうのは難しいんですね。でやっぱりどういった時にその教えが響いてくるのかっていうと、私たちが教えを聞く。で私たちがそういう困難な状況であったり教えを聞く準備が心の中にできた時に初めて教えというものが自分の中に響いてくるようになるのではないかなと思います。でそういった教えが自分の中にストンと落ちた時に、仏教者としてまた一歩進んでいけるんではないかなというふうに思います。でニュースや新聞でもう報道されましたように、このロサンゼルス別院に、男の人が入ってきて、灯籠を倒したり、提灯台に火をつけたり窓を石で割ったりということが、事件がありました。で私はその時に一人だけ裏のオフィスで働いてたんですけども、その窓を割った音を聞いてすぐ玄関の方に駆けつけたわけですね。で何も起きてないといいなと思って行ったんですけど、やっぱりその窓が割れてて、で目の前で提灯台が燃えてるっていう状況を見たわけですね。でもう真っ先に思ったのは誰か悪い人が入ってきてないかとか、何か銃を持っているような人がいないかとかっていうことを考えて、で自分の妻であるミムであったりとか、蓮のことを考えて、ここで死んだらちょっとダメだなっていうふうに思って非常に怖かったですね。で命の危険を感じました。ですから逃げようとも思ったんですけど、ちょうどもう周りに人も来ててもうその人はいなくなったんだなっていうふうに思ったので、それを確認して、安全を確認して提灯台の火を消火器で、消すことになりました。その日ですね、2月25日の前の日にそんな火事があるなんてこと思ってませんし、でそれは午後7時ぐらいだったんですけど、その1分前2分前にそんなことが起きるなんてことは全然考えもしなかったわけです。ただそういう1分後7時になって窓が割れて、で火がついてるっていう状況に、もう信じられない状況に自分がいたわけですね。ですから本来私たち当たり前のように毎日毎日その瞬間その瞬間って過ごしてますし、明日っていう日が必ず来るっていうふうに思ってますけど、もしかしたら私たちはたまたまそういう火事であったりとか窓割られたりとかっていうことに合ってないだけで、本当にたまたま今生きてるわけですね。でたまたま生きててこのお寺で仏教の教えを聞いてるっていう状況なんだと思います。ですから本来は一瞬一瞬 何が起こるかわからないし、急に自分の心臓が止まるかもわかりません。そういう生きてることっていうのが本当に貴重なことであって、尊いことであって、かけがえのないありがたいものだっていうことっていうのに本当は気づかないといけないんですけど、やっぱりそういう命の危険にさらされたりとか、コロナの影響で普通の生活ができないという状況、そういう状況になった時に、やっと私たちの過ごしている今日っていう日は本当は二度と繰り返すことはないですし、やっとこう過ごせる日、安全にたまたま過ごせてる日なんだっていうことを感じるわけですね。ですからこそいつも法話で自分も言ってますけど、毎日毎日この一瞬一瞬が大事なんだっていうことを言ってますけど、やっぱりそういう日っていうのは本当に貴重なものですから、私たちは大切に過ごしていかなければならないんだなということを改めて思いました。で、この藤代先生の他の言葉もちょっとついでに紹介したいと思います。これまでがこれからを決めるのではない。これからがこれまでを決めるのだ。もう一回言いますね。これまでがこれからを決めるのではない。これからがこれまでを決めるのだ。過去のことですね。これまでのこと、過去の積み重ねがこれまでの未来を決めるんだって私たち思いますけど、藤代先生はこれからがこれまでを決めるんだ。これからの、今から未来までの時間、それが実は過去の時間を決めるんだっていうふうにおっしゃってます。これはどういうことかなと考えますと、例えば今の状況で言いますと、こういうふうにお寺が、火事になりそうになったりとか、窓を割られたり大変なことがありました。でこの大変なことに対して1年後、あれはただ大変なことだったなっていうふうに思ったら、その過去っていうのは大変なことだっていうその話だけになってしまいますね。ただ1年後にあの事件があったから私たちはセキュリティも強化することができましたし、いろんなカメラをつけたりとかドアのロックとか、するようになって、あの事件があったから今よくすることができたっていうふうにその未来で言えたら、過去のその悪かった事件、それは決して悪かった事件ではなくて良かった事件、良くはないですけど、それのおかげで今良くなったっていうふうに言えると思います。ですからこれまでがこれからを決めるっていうのはもちろんそれはそうなんですけど、ただこれからっていう未来がこれまでの過去っていうことを決めるんだっていうふうにおっしゃってます。ですからどんな時でもそういうネガティブにいろんなものを考えてしまうんではなくて、一生懸命やることで、ポジティブに考えていくことで、過去の見方っていうのは変わってくると思います。ですから藤代先生のおっしゃるように、今日っていう一日っていうのは本当にたまたまこういうふうに過ごさせていただいてるだけでありがたいものなので、本当に大切に生きていかなければいけないんだと思います。そして過去の出来事、悪いことであっても、またその自分たちの今の行いであったりとか未来の行いによっては過去の悪かったこともまたいいことに変わっていくということだと思います。そうは言ってもなかなか実践していくっていうのは難しいんですけども、私たちこうして仏教の教えを聞いてるわけですから、そういうふうに過ごしていければなというふうに思います。これで本日の法は終わりたいと思います。ありがとうございました。
Thank you, Fujii Sensei. Appreciate that. Something I just sort of want to add to what the Rinban said and also what the Fujii Sensei said. They talked about his heroic actions when the vandalism took place. And one thing, because when I heard about it, I came that evening after the incident happened, and the police were already here, the fire department was here also. And I asked Reverend Fujii, because not everyone can use a fire extinguisher. So I asked him, well, how did you do that? I mean, not everyone could just, grab the fire extinguisher and put the fire out. And he indicated that at the Honzan, headquarters in Kyoto, in his department, they actually have to do training. And he won first place in fire extinguishing skills. And so he was actually, not only is he our hero, he's also a champion fire extinguish expert. So for those of you who need tips on how to use a fire extinguisher, please ask Reverend Fujii. And also, something, that I actually, thinking back, feel a little bit bad about. When I came to the temple, Reverend Fujii looked, relatively calm. I asked him how he was, and he looked like he handled it well, and, we all thanked him. But, what I just heard in his Dharma talk was that, he was really, scared for his life. And, that's... So anyways, we appreciate his efforts. Okay, sorry. Let's see. So now we're going to sing Ondok-san 1. And so if you want to rise, please rise for the singing of Ondok-san 1. Okay, thank you. We have a few announcements. As some of you know, as we mentioned, this is Ohigan, and we also have our Ohigan or our spring seminar this afternoon. It's at 1 o'clock, and the guest speaker is Reverend Ken Yamada, who many of you know. He always has interesting things to talk about and share, so please join us. The theme of the seminar is protest, patriotism, and Jodo Shinshu. And so very timely. Is it on the Facebook link? Is the link on the Facebook page? So the link is on our Facebook page. So for those of you who want to join by Zoom, please look at our Facebook page, and you could join us today at 1 o'clock. And then also, couple other announcements. Next Sunday, we'll have our regular Sunday service, and I think Reverend Peter will take care of that. And on April 4th, normally that would be Shotsuki Sunday, but because we're having our Federation Hanamatsuri on April 4th, we would like everybody to join in on the Federation Hanamatsuri service on April 4th. And for more information about that, you can view our Facebook page as well as probably our website and get information as to how to watch and join the Hanamatsuri service. So that means our Shotsuki service will be April 11th, so it'll be the second Sunday in April. Any other announcements? Also, next Sunday, Reverend Peter reminded me, it's also Coffee and Dharma. So for those of you who would like to join in a lively discussion, it's at 9 o'clock. And similarly, on our Facebook page and maybe on our website, you can get more information about how to join the Coffee and Dharma talk at our Coffee and Dharma discussion at 9 o'clock. And it's always interesting, lively, timely, and so please join us if you can. Okay, well that's it. Thank you for joining our Ohigan service today. Thank you to Reverend Fujii. Thank you to the ministers. Thank you to Jason for helping us with the streaming. We hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Please stay safe, please stay healthy, and stay tuned for more information about when we can have you back at the temple. See you later. Thank you.